going to use a case study to illustrate how to use Microsoft Excel to graph data and how to make instructional decisions. So we're going to begin with Anna. Anna was referred to you to come in and do some observations by the general educator. She's a 15-year-old student and just seems to be getting further and further behind. So you come out with your handy-dandy ABC data sheet and start recognizing what the patterns are in the class, and very quickly you determine that she is often engaged in competing activities. For example, here we see her texting on her cell phone when everybody else is listening to a lecture and watching on-screen demonstrations of what they should be doing in an English class. So you turn around, you follow up, and you decide to do a peer-to-peer comparison on an interval. So you brought your beep tape, and every time it goes off every minute, you're looking at Anna and you're looking at another student to determine if they're both on or off task. What you realize is that the data is showing that Anna is on task about 20% of the time, whereas her same age peers are on task about 80% of the time. So she's missing a lot of instructional time. So we took 3 days worth of baseline data, and she was around, in reality her data would vary a little bit. For purposes what we're going to show today, I'm just going to say each of her 3 days she was at 20% overall. So I'm going to come over, and this is Excel, and all of the versions of Excel are a little bit different, but they all have similar features, and so you might have to hunt a little bit for these features in a different version, but they're there, they're easy to access. Now we always want to skip A1, and you'll see why in a little bit, but across the top you're going to put in dates, and across the left, down the left, you'll be putting in criterion. So the very first thing we're going to be putting in is baseline. And you'll just want to type that in. It will bring it right over into your graph, whatever you type in there. Now, the dates, I usually like to type in month and day format, but as you can see, it switches it over, so I can use other ones, September 2nd, for example. I can even spell September all the way out if I wanted to, and you'll see it just switches right back. So remember, baseline is at least 3 data points, and our baseline showed that Anna is at 20% on September 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Now again, in reality, should have a little bit of variability. So that's how we're going to enter in baseline, and then we've got a decision to make here. We need to decide 2 things. What is our goal for her level of performance, and how long should we take to get there? So we're going to think for just a minute, and we're going to set her goal at the same as her peers. If they're on task 80% of the time, that is a reasonable goal to set for Anna. And as a general rule, 9 weeks is a good amount of time for any kind of intervention. There's a lot of reasons for that. 9 weeks gives you time to see the changes happen, and also 9 weeks is a typical reporting period for progress reports, IEPs, semesters, quarters, that kind of thing. So as we're thinking about that, we want to see Anna be engaged in the required class activities for at least 80% of the time. So the first thing we need to do is go ahead and enter in and get this to transform over into a graph. So if I click on A1, I hold down my Shift key and then click on the very last column, I can now go ahead and enter in a graph. So what I do, again, you'll highlight those, and then I'm going to come up here to Insert, and I want to put in a chart, and you'll want to select a 2D line, and I prefer the marked line because then you can see each of your data points. And when you have a lot of data points, this matters. All right, so this gives you a good sense here. As you'll see, it's going up to 25%. We'll fix that, and it's going over to September 3rd. We'll fix that as well in the next segment.